Right, so before we start this video, I have a confession to make. I've been filming this video for like an hour because I keep messing up my words, and I completely just didn't realise the blinds were totally blown out behind me in like half the footage whenever the sun comes out. So I've messed the exposure up. I'm sorry. We're all human, you know what I mean? We're only human. So yeah, sorry. Okay, video. Hi everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day. I just wanted to start by saying thank you so much to everyone who watched my last YouTube video and who commented and subscribed. The response was completely overwhelming, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. So thank you so much for that. So for my second video, I was going to do a video on how to shoot a music video, which I have actually shot, but the band have not actually put the song out yet, so I can't release that right now, which I didn't really think about when I said I was going to do that. So instead, today I'm just going to run through some tips on how to get a career, get into a career shooting photography. Now, a little disclaimer before I start. I do not make like a huge amount of money from photography. Like, I make enough to live comfortably, I'm happy, I have like a few days off a week and it's great and I absolutely love my life. But this is not a video on like how to make 200 grand a year with photography, because I don't know how to do that. So that being said, here are 3 of the most important things that I have learned. Okay, so first thing is making contact. Now, this is kind of not photography related whatsoever and kind of is just any creative job at all, but I feel like it is the most important thing. So just a little bit of a backstory. I used to shoot gigs, I used to kind of go to gigs and take my camera because I didn't have many friends who were into that kind of music. So I used to take my camera along to the gigs, I used to photograph the gigs and photograph the people there, just so I didn't feel awkward stood around at a gig on my own. And from that, like, I made so many contacts, and there are so many people who I work for today that have, like, I've made the links to them people through shooting gigs like 10-15 years ago and stuff. So even like something that I initially started out doing for free and started doing for fun and just as a way to like get over my anxiety of going to gigs has now turned into like that kind of maybe single-handedly like launched my career. So for anyone wondering how kind of to make contact, I don't know, I'm like not a super like outgoing person. I'm quite socially awkward and I kind of like my own space and stuff like that. But so I'm just going to talk through a couple of the things that worked for me, and then hopefully they will work for you too. So a good start is just basically being kind and respectful at all times. Kind of be like overly kind with people, just being friendly to people, treating clients as if they're your friends. And ultimately, like if you go into a job and you kind of or you go to, I don't know, even if you're working for free or you're doing someone a favor, if you treat that person that you're working for like as a friend, like treat them like you know them, they are way more likely, 1, to like book you for more jobs, and 2, to recommend you for other jobs. I found like a lot of time when I'm working for people, you might go to a job and you might kind of get a bit of anxiety over the job, like worried about it or whatever. I mean, this is just from personal experience, how I felt. But going to that job, if you're feeling worried, chances are the client are not super confident about meeting you either. So if you both kind of feeling the same and you kind of act very friendly and very like personal and just like, oh, hi, how are you? You know, like, you know, very kind of confident, even if you might not be feeling like that. That's going to create like a nice relationship to start off, like that kind of business relationship, if you like. This also goes for kind of everyday life. You never know what kind of people that you're going to bump into that potentially will end up being a client or potentially know someone that needs some photography work doing. And ultimately, like, as bad as it is, a lot of the industry is a lot more about who you know and not necessarily what you know. So say a client is looking for a photographer and they know this person with a camera and they're really sound, they know they're friendly and they're going to be an easy like person to work with. And then on the other hand, there's someone else who might be like slightly better technically at taking photos, but they don't really know them. 9 times out of 10, they're going to choose the person that they know. So while it's obviously important to like know how to take photos, it's equally as important, if not more important, to actually know that person on a personal level. Another thing that's really important with making contact is just offer your work to everyone. The worst that they can do is say no. Like, be proud of who you are, and if you feel like you can benefit someone's business or someone's brand, or I don't know, say, I don't know, you know someone that runs, in my experience, a nightclub, and you're like, oh, do you need a photographer? Like, there's no need to, you know, if they've got a photographer and they're doing really well, like, don't take someone's job off them. But if you feel like you could benefit them, by all means offer your services. Like I said, the worst that they can do is say no. So the second most important thing you can do is to stay creative. Now, this is obviously a very vague thing for me to suggest, but I'm going to tell you like a couple of the ways that I stay creative. So I will get up out of bed in the morning and I will say to myself, right, I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, this is my life. What am I going to do? What would a successful photographer do? And straight away when you do that, you get yourself in the mindset of kind of motivating yourself straight away. I don't know, that maybe that's just me, but that really helps for me on the morning to get up and just think like that. Then you want to be taking photos like as much as possible. So like, don't obviously burn out, but try and take photos like at least 4 times a week, and maybe each time try something a little bit different. So maybe one day it's going to be photos of your cat, one day it's photos of your family, the next day you can go out and try and like take some photos of your street. And like, for the first few days, it might seem like a really boring, mundane thing, but ultimately, like, the more you do that, you're building your skills up in kind of learning how to use your camera. You're learning to look at things that are boring from like a different perspective, which will help you out when there's something amazing happening in front of you. You're gonna have those different perspectives on everything. You're just gonna think about things in a different way. Another thing you can do is to basically just experiment with different kind of photography techniques. So I don't know, maybe one day go out and go, right, today I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot everything at like 1 second exposure and see what you create, and just kind of set yourself limitations to work with. You know, today I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot everything on manual focus. Today I'm going to go out and shoot everything on the wrong white balance, but I'm going to try and make it look cool. Little things that you do like that will keep you feeling creative, and you'll have like a lot of happy accidents along the way that you can then use in actual like work. So say you go out and you take, I don't know, you take a load of photos at 1 second exposure and you're like, oh, this looks really cool. Next time you're on a job, you might think back, oh, that looked cool, I'm gonna try that out. Another thing that I would recommend is starting a personal project. I started a project in 2020 called what is the name of my own project? What Makes Me Happy, where I've been documenting people doing things that make them happy. So like, taking photos of people doing the things that make them feel good and getting little stories from them about what it is. And ultimately I'm going to make a book. I'm going to say more about this on a future YouTube video. Actually going out and shooting things with a purpose is, what for one is really fulfilling, and two, I feel like the work I'm creating has like meaning behind it, which is great. And three, I've met like a load of really cool people from doing this, and a couple of people have actually like booked me for paid jobs, which goes back to the making contacts thing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend starting like a personal project. It's also really important to find inspiration from places that aren't Instagram. Most photographers are guilty, including me, of just putting stuff on Instagram that's like, oh, this is a banger shot, this one's gonna get loads of likes, I'll put that out. And it's difficult when people do that to understand like the meaning behind their work, especially when you scroll and you look and you're like, oh, that's sick, double tap, scroll on and forget about it. A lot of Instagram is like disposable content like that, which is not always great for finding kind of inspiration. I would definitely recommend buying some photo books, watching some YouTubers who are telling like more kind of like 20-minute stories about their photography and stuff, rather than just this is a cool photo, bang, like that. And also looking at cinematography. I know I've been inspired a lot by like Blade Runner, a movie called Enter the Void that I watched a few years ago. There's a movie called Harry Brown that I really like, and things like that can translate across into your photography work. So don't be afraid to like not look at photography for like 5 days and just watch movies instead. So the third and final thing I've written down on my notes here, right? Treat your camera like a fifth limb, which now I'm reading it back right now, that doesn't sound right. But what I'm trying to get at, right, is say, okay, we all know how to use our arms. If we fall over, right, our body will like automatically put our arms out and break our fall. I know you might break your wrist or whatever, but you're not gonna. That's not a good example, is it? What I'm trying to say is, the more you know your camera, the more you know where everything is in the menus, the more you know your settings, it's gonna become like second nature to use that camera. So if you go out on jobs and something happens in front of you that's crazy, you know straight away, you don't even need to think about what settings to put in. You just like bang, 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 take the photo, and you don't have to, you know, there's a lot of times when I first switched to Sony, I was so intimidated by the menus in Sony cameras that I was like, I don't even want to take the time to learn how to use this or find out where anything is. So I kind of neglected it, and then there was a lot of times early on when I was filming stuff that I definitely missed like a load of really cool shots because I just didn't know what I was doing on my camera. It is so important to learn where everything is, and the best way to do that is to just go out and shoot every day. So that kind of ties into the other point as well. A lot of photographers are probably not going to agree with me here, but maybe that means not shooting manual all of the time. There's obviously a time and place for shooting manual. If I was shooting in a studio, I would have my camera settings on manual. Like when I'm filming this video, my camera settings are on manual. But if you were shooting like a run and gun situation, for example, if you are shooting a wedding in a church and then you walk out of the church and it's broad daylight, you're gonna have to scramble around changing your settings. If you just had it on AV, it's gonna do it for you. Like I said, this is not applicable for every situation, but don't be intimidated by people saying, oh, you need to shoot manual, because you don't really. It's more important for you to know your way around a camera and you to be able to control that camera whichever way, whether that is manual settings or using like an automatic mode like AV or TV and using the exposure compensation dial. So that is pretty much it for today. Thank you for watching if you've watched this far. If you have enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments, and if you have any suggestions for future videos or you want me to talk about anything specific, please also just drop me a comment or drop me a DM on Instagram, and I will be more than happy to like try and make that a reality. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.